Hello, this is Dr. Daniel Pazarski here with, uh, hello, this is Dr. Daniel Pazarski. We are on episode 11, correct?
Yep.
Episode 11, we are with Dr. Winnie Monaco from Orange County, California today. Dr. Winnie is a graduate of Southern California University of Health Sciences, where she received her doctorate in chiropractic. She also received her Bachelor of Arts in Biology with a minor in chemistry from Vanguard University. In addition to that, she completed a somatotherapy program in 2016 with the French osteopath Guy Boyer, who's a doctor of osteopathy. Dr. Monaco also completed her $200 yoga teacher training, which I like. I like yoga a lot. And currently teaches yoga at Glenwood House, a residence for special needs adults in Laguna Beach, California. And Dr. Winnie also owns Dr. Monaco's Natural Remedies, which is a CBD formula that we actually sell in our office here in West Fargo, North Dakota. And we're going to talk about the benefits of CBD today and how her formula is unique to the CBD marketplace, as well as the different herbs that she mixes with her CBD to help us heal and feel better. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Winnie.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Dr. Dan.
Yes, it's good to see you. So how did you get started with CBD?
So I've been using CBD or recommending CBD to my patients for a long time. We're lucky in California in that hemp products and cannabis products have been legal for a relatively long amount of time out here, especially CBD. So that's the extract that comes from a hemp plant. So I've been able to recommend it to patients for a long time. And if you had a medical marijuana card, you could actually go to any dispensary and buy CBD. So typically either I'd go buy it for them or I'd show them which shop to go to and kind of what to get. But I also noticed that along with the CBD, I'm always recommending other herbs as well. Like, okay, not only in an acute injury do you want to get CBD on board for the inflammation, but you want to add these other herbs. And so I'd send my patients, or I'd have to go do it myself sometimes, to, go to Mother's, get all the stuff. I never really wanted to carry a ton of inventory in my office because I really felt like sometimes that clouds your judgment, and are you selling this stuff because it's there? So I would usually make recommendations and then send people to Mother's. And I started getting a little bit of feedback from my patients about, it being cost prohibitive if I send them to Mother's for,
So it's just like a natural.
Oh, it's just like a natural health food store. Like they have like Whole Foods, but a smaller, more local chain to California.
Okay.
So they carry, and they always have like, hippies in the herbs section. You can ask questions and stuff. So I always like to send people over there. So I started getting some feedback from patients, as well as the CBD can be kind of expensive, especially again with our laws and it being in a dispensary and there's lots of taxes added to it. And then worrying about quality, that's a problem too. So I really went about this to create a product that I could feel confident was clean and the highest quality for my patients, specifically targeted at the types of injuries and illnesses and wellness patients that we see. So specific to what we do.
And you have kind of a niche patient base that you've told me about when I visited your office. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you see athletes, and then
I kind of feel like I see everybody, but I definitely see like some, higher end athletes that maybe they do that for a living, or athletes. There's a lot of retired athletes in this area. So working with like how to rebuild the body once you're done kind of beating it up, especially as a younger person. And then I would say the majority of my patient base, though, is pretty athletic, whether they're professional or just like to be active. They're active people for sure.
In California, people are generally more active than
They are.
Florida also.
Well, we have all this great weather and people definitely, get outside and make the most of it. And
Totally.
I would say even my older patients, in their 80s and 90s still actively participate in some form of exercise. Like I feel like people are pretty movement oriented here for sure.
Awesome. Like here it's cold like 8 months of the year. So like
Right.
we move in the summer, but like
Right. Yeah.
So I have to, that's a skill to motivate people to like keep moving.
For sure. Yeah.
It's tough when it's cold.
Yeah, I agree. So we're lucky that way. So when I started out to do this, I started thinking about our patients in terms of like an acute patient and what kind of herbs and what the CBD would need to do for an acute patient versus a chronic patient or a patient maybe that's having difficulty. I feel like sleep and anxiety. I saw you right away put up the Calm formula that we have.
Yeah, I got the Calm and the pain ones are
the big ones you probably use. Yeah.
Pretty
So
also.
So I started thinking about like the other herbs you would put in there and that you could do a remedy that would calm you down if you're anxious, but that could also calm you down enough to sleep if you needed that. So I wanted to do one that could really target both of those things. So that's really why I did this. Was a little bit of personal history is that I have a family member who suffered from lupus, my aunt, for over 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And I watched her, I think when we think about drug addicts, like addicts to opiates and things like that, we think about people who are like scoring drugs on the street, right, and partying. But that isn't my experience. My experience with those types of drugs are that the people start out taking them for legitimate medical reasons many times and either don't notice that they're becoming addicted or have no other options. Like for my aunt 40 years ago, there wasn't a lot of great options for pain control. Plus she lives in Virginia where the laws are very restrictive towards THC and CBD. They were anyway. So kind of watching that destroy her body and destroy her other organs. And again, she was somebody that took Xanax to sleep and then tons of pain medication during the day. And just watching over a 40-year period what that actually does to a person. And so knowing that we have people now in our society, right, that have legitimate illnesses, that have legitimate diseases, that need pain control. We can't just say these drugs are bad and they'll hurt you. We have to have alternatives. And over-the-counter drugs, we know do just as much, not just as much, but they do damage of their own over time. So even saying relying on an over-the-counter drug is not going to help your liver over time. And it's still going to tax your body. And we know now that it does damage to other things like the muscles, like the tendons. So all things we're trying in our jobs to avoid and to make healthier in a person. So I really needed to create something that, if not to replace an opiate, at least to maybe cut down on how much somebody needs, especially post-surgically. I'm really encouraging my patients, like, mix in the CBD, try, holding off on that opiate and see if and really get in touch with the pain and see how you can help it.
It actually did help. The pain formula worked really well to like get off the what was I on? It was the opiates that they give you right after, because they don't give you as much anymore.
No, not anymore. So they probably either gave you Vicodin or Norco. Those are the typical.
Yeah, I think I have Vicodin, but they only gave me like 3 days, or they used to be like 2 weeks or so. And so I had a lot of pain after like having a 3rd-degree separation of my shoulder.
Yikes, yeah.
And that the pain formula really actually did help take the edge off.
Good.
Instead of having like Tylenol and Advil. And
right. Well, it's a better anti-inflammatory. And one of the reasons it's a better anti-inflammatory is, you know, just for the organs alone, it's not going to go through the liver. It is going to go through the kidney because everything that gets excreted out in the urine affects the kidney, right? But there's no toxic limit because it's not going through your liver. So anything that doesn't get bound to the receptors is just going to go out of your body in the urine. It's not going to sit around anywhere. And that's a great benefit for it as well, knowing that it's safe. And then again, you're not taxing the liver and there isn't this toxic limit for it.
So the CBD and the different herbs aren't broken
Most
down?
are not. The CBD is not affecting the liver. That is not processed through the liver.
Oh, it isn't. I thought everything processed through the liver. That's where we get all our enzymes.
Not the same way that you're thinking of a drug, where the reason why there's a toxic limit for alcohol is your liver can only process so much of it, right? So it backs up. That's not true with CBD. It's just going to get excreted through the urine. There's nothing that you're waiting for to happen that would make it toxic.
The liver. So like it's just more natural. It's not synthetic,
Right.
And so easier for the body to process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how herbs are meant to be taken too, right? In their pure form, the way we found them. The rad thing about pharmaceuticals is that most of them, that's where they find them, right? We have botanists that are pharmaceutical botanists looking for new drugs all the time in the forest, right? The beauty of that is then they're washed in a lab and made super clean because lots of herbs have allergens and things on them. Yep. So, you know, we need both things, but in the pain control realm, and especially with the patients that we're seeing because of the downsides of NSAIDs to the musculoskeletal system, I do feel like this is the best route for most of my patients. And I really encourage people to at least see if it's effective for them.
It's not really affected my patients, like the role and like the pain and the heal formulas, especially like for neuralgia. That was one thing that
awesome.
Some older patients like that have neuralgia in their feet, like it would start going away.
Nice.
And that's something I didn't expect.
It's funny how now that I'm, you know, at first I did all these formulas with kind of specific injuries or ailments in mind. And now that I'm getting feedback, I've got patients telling me all kinds of things that they're getting results with, which is great. I obviously can't make a lot of those claims because that will just get me in trouble. But I love people that are willing to experiment and see, you know, there aren't a lot of downsides, so I don't see any reason why not to give it a shot.
And the patients that I have that like are taking Tylenol or Advil or whatever, or ibuprofen every single day, because they do it to preemptively stop the pain.
Right.
I try to get them to switch over to the
for sure,
because that, like, their body just can't handle that forever. Yeah. And I don't think they're really even getting an effect from it. It's more psychological than anything.
Probably have it, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, one of the other reasons that I thought about, like, in my own life, and when do I take pain medication? What do I need? So I definitely did a formula for around my period, because a lot of women think, well, I'll just take ibuprofen when I get cramps. But the bottom line is you can't take ibuprofen once a month for, you know, 30 or 40 years and not think that's chronic use. That is chronic use.
Totally.
And there is a downside to that. So I did a women's formula specifically for myself, because I don't want to be taking ibuprofen every month. And I put other herbs in there, valerian root, kava kava, melatonin, other things, again, all for your system. And I put tansy blue in there, and that's for like the grouchy part that you get during your cycle. That's what I get anyway. So again, like, I really tried to think about all the other herbs that will complement the effect of the CBD. The CBD is great, but by itself, you know, you're just getting that anti-inflammatory effect, and then you're binding all these different receptors, which is great, which can help your system. But I really do feel like it's the herbs that give everything just that little push that it needed to get the effect that I wanted.
Your formulas compared to other ones are usually just like straight CBD, but
Yes.
like herbs and supplements and oils and things like that, because they are more natural and they do actually help. Whereas when you straight CBD helps, but the other things help too, like you have white willow bark, which helps with
Right.
activation, and magnesium, which helps the nervous system and the muscles, and turmeric, which helps inflammation. Peppermint, what helps your stomach. Orange oil, I'm not so sure. What does that do?
That does a couple things. It's more blood flow, and then a lot of these herbs that I put in there too have most of them are, again, to increase blood flow and blood perfusion. And some of the topical ones I put on there are actually like frankincense and myrrh and things like that are actually antibacterial, wound healing.
Oh, you use it for wound healing?
Yeah. Frankincense is really great for scar tissue. So I put it in my Heal lotion formula.
Okay.
And myrrh as well. That's why they gave them, well, that's why those were gifts given to Jesus, right? Frankincense and myrrh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't
So those are those really old herbs used for skin and wounds and antibacterial properties as well in both of those.
Yep. I knew that about frankincense and myrrh. I don't have any health or the Heal left. I think I ordered some.
Oh yeah.
Just...
And again, like another one that I'm getting for the Heal is like great on bug bites, great on burns, anything really that's healing, that's an ouchie. You know, I don't use the pain if I've got like an open wound because it's a little stingy because of the peppermint, but I will put the Heal even on like a bug bite, even if it's a little open, and it seems to take the sting right out. Again, because you're getting that nice CBD, which is calming the inflammation, which so many problems on the skin are inflammatory, right?
Yep, totally. And a lot of people just have a lot of systemic inflammation and
For sure.
bring down the tincture.
So the Heal formula is the one that I did with like the well patient in mind that doesn't necessarily have like, oh, I'm taking CBD because my knee hurts or my shoulder, but knows that they want a daily dose of it. Or as a female, really after you ovulate, your body starts producing less natural endocannabinoids. So that's when you'd want to add it into your system. So I do take a daily dose. So for patients that don't have a problem, I give them the Heal remedy because that's got other great things in it for you, right? Like vitamin E, collagen, just stuff you need in general.
And then with the women's formula, do you have like women take that just like the week of their like period?
So this is a great way for women to actually sorry, you cut out on there.
Do you have them take it like throughout like their
cycle?
What is it, the cycle?
So usually what I tell women is that first of all, you should know when you ovulate. I think it's really important for women to be kind of in tune with when stuff's happening in your body. And we've kind of been taught that you should just ignore it and, you know, take all these pills and you won't know what's happening. I don't think that's a great idea. So if you know when you ovulate, you know that after you ovulate, your natural endocannabinoids are going down. So that's when I switch from like the Heal formula, or if I'm taking the Calm at night, I'll switch to the women's formula during ovulation and then just take the women's formula for the rest of the cycle.
As estrogen decreases and progesterone increases, is that what happens?
As to why your endocannabinoids decrease?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why the production goes down. I'm sure there's a hormonal purpose for that happening, but you have receptors for CBD on your uterus and your fallopian tubes and your ovaries. Oh, really? And those are all places, especially the ovaries, right? When you're ovulating and things are moving, what do you get? Low back pain from those attachments, right? From the way the ovaries attach via ligaments to the low back. So I will get a ton of SI joint pain and actual ovary pain that's relieved if I take that.
I know like a lot of my like younger patients get a lot of pain because, well, I think one of the reasons is because most of them are on birth control and then they're just so dominant, and that causes most women's issues because of the food they eat, and just there's more estrogen in everything. And
For sure. I'm a big proponent of not eating estrogen.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother podcast. But
Yeah.
you shouldn't be getting estrogen in your food. And I'm not a big proponent of that kind of chemical birth control. I feel like there's a million other ways to do that and that are better for you. And I do think that birth control in general is really depleting of a lot of things that I've actually put in my formulas. Lots of B vitamins. It's a depleter of magnesium. It's a depleter of a lot of the things you need to have a healthy cycle. So if you can't convince them to at least get off of that, maybe they could add, a women's formula to at least make their system a little healthier because of the problems you mentioned with estrogen dominance.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of women just think more birth control or higher amounts or switch it up, but they're just getting too much.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to wonder at some point, why when you see problems with fertility and things like that, you have to, they've made some conclusions. I don't think that's me stepping out of my lane. We know now that you can't take birth control for 20 years and think you're going to be super fertile with the when you stop taking it. You're just not.
Yeah.
I mean,
your body's natural processes have to restart again.
Yeah. So I've been alive a long enough time to know you can get pregnant when you want to be and not pregnant and especially with apps now, there's so many good apps that will just take your temp every day and tell you whether you're ovulating or not.
Yeah. So is there any that you recommend?
I forget what the one that now it's like, I don't need to because me and my ovaries know each other very well and I can just tell what they're doing. So I don't need to track my cycle anymore. I can actually just feel it. But I forget, I'll have to look some up for you because I think there's some good ones that are really easy to use.
Yeah, we could definitely put that in the show notes and on our website, and then
for sure, yeah, we'll find some good ones that are easy for people to use. Because I think that's important.
Yeah, it is important, and a lot of people don't get that information around here.
No. Yeah, I'll bet.
And so moving on then, I guess, so you also have the formula for animals?
Yeah, I do have a formula for animals. I actually did my postgraduate course in animal adjusting. I did a few different methods. I've always loved adjusting dogs and cats and horses when they need it, but there's a lot of people that specifically adjust horses out here. So, so I did this formula for my little dog and cat patients, and just because I love them so much, and to create money for a couple of really rad charities out here.
I looked at that on your website too. It's Kiva and Mutt Scouts.
Mutt Scouts is a great organization out here. There's Mutt Scouts, Kiva, Viva Love Rescue, which is horses. And I don't think they're listed on there, but we also help sponsor. I can't give them CBD because they're in China and it's very restricted there, but we can give them some funds. It's a group called Slaughterhouse Survivors, and they actually purchase the dogs from the meat farms there because
dogs there.
Yeah, so they eat dogs there. So we would like that to end. So this is a group that's actively there helping to end the trade of dogs for meat.
Huh. That's good.
Yeah, it's great. It's been
deep.
It's
that's interesting.
So, yeah.
So you got that. You have that, and then you also have some. I saw you work with who is it here? Lima Le.
Oh, Lima is a fighter in Hawaii. She's based out of Hawaii. She's an MMA fighter for Bellator, and she's the world champ. And we were sponsoring her with product and having her, just be one of our athletes. And she's really amazing. And she has a rad foundation for little girls called the Lima Foundation. And that foundation helps Indigenous women with scholarships towards enhancement programs and different forms of education for those girls. So we still plan to work with her on her foundation going forward. She's awesome. Yeah, she's great.
I do amateur boxing here in Fargo. I've done that for the last 10 years. And then
Nice.
There's she never did like Bellator or UFC, but there's a fighter, Mariah Prussia, and she has a big following and she helps out men and women in general. So that's cool.
Yeah, I love that whole world. It's been really cool I got to go to her fight in December. That was awesome.
Really? What was that?
It was in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was her title fight. She won, it was defending her belt and everything. So it was really exciting. And she's a total hero there. And the Hawaiians just love her. She's their girl. So it was really exciting and super fun to see her win.
Cool. Good for you.
And stressful.
Been a part of the time? Is that like, does she live or train there? Or?
She trains in San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, and my media is run by the same company that does her media, so they kind of hooked us up with me sponsoring her with, product and doing some things with her. So that was super fun. I really, really loved it.
Cool.
Yeah. Did you want me to talk about some things that everybody out there should watch out for when they're buying CBD? Because I definitely feel like that's another place where people get ripped off.
Well, I know the big thing is you should know if it's full spectrum, I know, or if it's not, and how it's processed, and where the sources come from, and the THC levels I know people worry about.
Yes.
Those things, that would
help
understand.
What's important is why it's important that it's full spectrum is if something says isolate or pure, they've taken just the CBD, which is only one of 5 cannabinoids that you find in hemp, and they've isolated just that one. Now, back to my example about pharmaceuticals, that's what pharmaceutical companies do, right? You find something, then you isolate it in a lab, and then you manufacture it. Now, if we're doing that with hemp, you're going to isolate one little cannabinoid. Where did the other 4 go? And where did the other over 113 terpenes go that belonged in there? Well, now they're gone.
Yep.
That's not how it's meant to be taken. You want the other 4 cannabinoids. You want all those other terpenes. It's got amino acids also in there, vitamin E. Like, you want everything that came in the plant to be with it. Otherwise, you're getting as a very cheap product to make that's tricking you into thinking it's pure. Well, no, it's just cheap. And it's not going to, an isolate is not going to be effective like the full spectrum. Again, because you wiped out all that other good stuff that belongs there.
So far.
And that's part of what takes it into the cell, right? Is when all that's present.
Yeah, because they work synergistically.
Yeah, that's how it's meant. That's the difference between herbs and pharmaceuticals, right? Is that's a very pharmaceutical way to render something. And in the process, you're destroying a ton of the other elements that you really do want to keep. And again, to me, what you're paying for. So I always tell people, if you see that it's water soluble, that's an isolate. If you look in the pipette, if you draw it up and it's clear, that is an isolate. You don't want that. It should be a nice, pretty yellow or amber color. It should be really clear. It should not have any contaminants in it. And it shouldn't be cloudy. If it's cloudy or colored, that makes me wonder what they're hiding.
Oh,
it shouldn't, and you don't want it to be flavored. It should taste like the herb.
Yeah.
You don't want sugar in it. Dear God, like that's right.
And they'll flavor things and add other things that will.
So looking at the labeling, there are tricks, right? It'll say pure, THC free. Why do you want the THC in there? Well, the reason why you want in there, it's one of the cannabinoids.
Mhm.
And you want just that minimum level. So it is legal CBD in all 50 states with 0.03% THC.
Yeah,
so what you have to do then, if you're looking at a product, is you need to go on their website and they should have lab values. And the lab values should tell you, first of all, it better say that there's CBD in it. You want it to make sure it's been tested for CBD. And then you want it to say what the limit of their THC is so that you know you're getting a product that's 0.03 or below.
Yeah, that's
But
what
lab values, I'm looking for lab values. Those should be readily available always.
I think that they'll have too much THC in their system and get tested and like get in trouble.
And, you know, that could happen, but it doesn't. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that's taken a tincture. One of the labs that I work with, EcoScience, has said that people have made claims that they've turned up positive after taking capsules. But again, you'd have to prove you're not at home smoking weed all day too. So,
Totally.
you know what I mean? It's like, did you really turn up positive from a capsule, or are you hitting your bong, or what's happening? You know, I personally have not had anybody, but if you had an employee that was like, you know, getting tested, again, you'd have to find out what kind of test, which one are they using, what else are they taking, and, you know, even the NFL might start relaxing soon, I think, on their rules.
Yeah, I heard that if the season starts.
They're going to have to, right? Those guys have been sitting around for how many months now? You think they're not all just hitting their bongs? Come on.
Sure, they probably are.
I mean, whatever. They're doing whatever they want. So I think that's one of the reasons why the rules are relaxed, which is good.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then they figure out ways to cover it up anyways.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a little bit. And like, what's the difference between a cannabinoid or endocannabinoid and a terpene? And that's really important.
Well, those are just different chemicals. And endocannabinoid means you made it in your own body. So
Okay.
A cannabinoid and a terpene, those are just different substances that have different effects. And I can't even go over all the terpenes because there's so many. And there's just like an endless amount. But those are just different elements of the plant that make it more effective, again, together in synergy with each other.
And CBD is easier to use than like marijuana and things like that, because like that has
so a cannabis plant actually doesn't have the same level as a hemp plant of CBD, right? The roles are reversed. In a cannabis plant, you're growing the cannabis plant for high THC and lower CBD. Mm-hmm. In a hemp plant, you're changing that, right? You're growing the hemp plant, that variety, for the really high CBD, low THC. Mm-hmm. So different species really of plant.
Yeah, they just legalized growing hemp here last.
Nice, great.
And it's supposed to be like a great like cash crop, but they have to like plant it by hand. It has to be like 3 inches apart. It's pretty like hard.
So
it's kind of hard.
So that's the other thing about my hemp is in America, again, because we're dealing with injured patients or patients like my aunt with lupus, or you have patients like I do with MS or other things. And even if you're not treating it, you still have to be aware that a system like that is obviously going to be more sensitive to chemicals, right? So I didn't get my hemp from America. I do feel like the standards for organic are very relaxed and they're very self-regulated, which is always in my mind suspect when you're regulating your own industry, right? So again, I found this company, EcoScience, whose whole mission is just getting this clean hemp. We get it from the Netherlands because pesticides have never been legal there and they're never going to be. And they've been growing hemp for 3,000 years, not like us for, a few hundred. So it's gotten there super clean. Their soil's never been contaminated there like ours has. Yeah. And then the extraction process is done in Germany, and CO2 extraction is again considered the gold standard for hemp. heat extraction will destroy some of those other chemicals we talked about, the terpenes and the other cannabinoids. So I feel like the next level for my product was then, with these patients in mind, what kind of bottle is it going to go in? So am I going to buy a bottle in China that's potentially got contaminants in the glass? Well, not for my patients, and I don't want that in my own body. So my glass is coming from a company in Idaho. I really tried to make sure that every step along the way I thought about my patients, like each one of them was my aunt, and what I would put in her body, and what I was trying to do for her. So I really, really thought about those things and made sure that, you know, I'm paying a little bit more for my bottles here, but it's worth it. You know, that is an important thing to find out. Where is your company that you're buying something from? Where is it getting its products? Who's making it? Who's in those factories, right?
And you're not going to find that in the grocery store or the gas station.
No, no, it was actually pretty hard to do, to think of all that and make a product that wasn't $1 million too.
Totally, like just something out there is a lot, and then you get your name and get everything, get traction, and it takes a long time. How long did it take you to get your first product out?
The first product, I did all 7 formulas at the same time because, again, they were my brainchild. I've been writing all the things that I wanted for so long. So when I finally turned it over to the chemical engineer, I was like, here, okay, see what you can do. Yep. And that process, I actually went through 3 other companies and argued about things like, I was told by a chemical engineer that turmeric was fairy dust and that it had no, you know, meaningful effect on the body. And so going through that was a very interesting process as well. Most chemical engineers tend to be men, and they tend to be foreigners from all different kinds of places. But having some female chiropractor come along and talk about these things with them was challenging, and challenged some of them. So I actually wound up firing a couple groups of chemical engineers until I could find some that could understand my vision, you know, for what I was trying to do, and actually found a great group that I really felt like helped me not only with my original idea, but make it even better and bring it to life in an actual formulary, which obviously a chemical engineer has to do that. Yeah, so totally. It took about 2 years.
2 years.
Of tinkering around in a lab and getting products back that you would just get back and be like, my God, no one would be able to put this in their mouth. Like, so, you know, where you just think, oh, maybe this is impossible. I mean, there were definitely times where I thought this would never happen.
It just tastes like alcohol, though.
Some of them just taste like
really bitter. Like I've tried all kinds of tinctures since being in this field. Generally, the ones that are more bitter are better for you, but like they do have to be palatable.
Yeah, for sure. So I did feel like the other thing that helped my product was a lot of the other herbs actually made it taste kind of better than just the plain CBD too. So
I don't mind the taste, but I'm used to taking like weird things. Like
for sure.
It tastes like oil or butter.
Yeah.
But some people and they're like, what's that? Like they can taste the peppermint, I think, and stuff like that.
Yeah. And when people aren't used to that, it definitely tastes earthy, you know, and planty. And that's definitely something people are not initially, you know, used to. But I think that's a good thing. You definitely don't want it tasting like, you know, I don't want it tasting good or sugary. That's not it.
Yeah, because you're not getting the real, like, distilled product.
Yeah, they're hiding something for sure.
Totally. So do you have any new things coming out?
Yeah, so I have some new things that I'm working on that are more just clinically based, like lotions. I'm doing some lotions for clinical use because I love to use my lotions on my actual patients when I'm working on them, and especially for cupping. I love to use the my silicone cups and kind of drag it with the lotion. So I'm working on some bigger pumped lotion for professionals.
Yeah, yeah. Like our massage therapist,
Yeah,
I
for
just
massage therapists or doctors.
because like there's some people their nervous systems are just so like oversensitized that they can't get a massage, but
For
they actually
sure.
need it. And the CBD helps just that nervous system calm down a little bit, so um, it doesn't hit that action potential and
Yeah.
cause
So
everything.
I'm doing one that'll be the pain formula and then one that'll be the healing formula.
Mm-hmm.
And will reduce these are pretty strong, the concentration of everything in these. And if you're doing a massage and you're using multiple pumps, you don't need it to be this strong. Plus it would cost, it'd be cost prohibitive for me to produce one this concentrated. So they'll be a little less concentrated just because you're going to be using more of it anyway if you're working on a patient or doing a massage. So,
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah. Other than that, I don't know. Do you have any recommendations of products that you could use produced? Because I feel like I covered most of everything.
It could be like a digestion formula, I suppose,
That would not be a bad idea. Yeah.
but for that, because there's a lot of people that have different. That's really common in women, actually, like digestive issues.
For sure.
That will be one that I would
Okay.
be a good formula. If you put some different like herbs in that, you
For
could
sure. I can think of some good ones.
or if you could even mix it, or you could do turmeric, magnesium.
Maybe some papaya for digestion.
Yeah, some enzymes.
Enzymes, yeah.
Or some like, I don't know if you can mix like berberine or things like that that help kill some of the bad bacteria that start to
Probably, yeah.
overgrow. I think that would be really good.
That would be good. I like that idea.
There's a supplement that I have used to kill like candida overgrowth in the gut. That's made up of essential oils, but I can't remember the formula. It's by Metagenics.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll have to check that out.
You could look that one up. I like that one. It has oregano in it. That's what's in it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
It's like pizza.
Yummy.
It was really powerful, so you have to just put a little bit. But that's really good for the gut. So I think, a digestive one would be really good.
Nice.
And then, like, you do your lotions a little different than most companies. You put them in a roller.
I did put it in a roller because, well, especially with the pain, I do, it's got peppermint and then the willow's bark, which you definitely just don't want to get in your eye.
Yeah.
And I felt like a roller, you could just roll it on and you don't have to touch it. So you're not contaminating the lotion. Mm-hmm. And then the same for the heel. I thought, well, if you're going to use it on like, your own self, you don't want your finger going into a lotion and getting the lotion contaminated, especially if you're using it on some, like a wound. So that was my reasoning for putting it in a roll-on, is just not having people get their hands on it.
I know it's easier I like the roll-ons too with anything because it's just not as messy, and you
for sure
to like work, and that's where people get sore and stiff because they're sitting at their computers.
Yeah.
Or just doing repetitive stress type things all day. So I like the roll-ons when it comes to anything that's like a pain reliever.
Yeah, me too. And I just get it it's super thin, so you can just roll it on and then it dries pretty quick and you can just get dressed or whatever. So I try to think of those things too. Because I use the pain roll-on actually for cramps and everything too. I just roll it right on there and slap my clothes on. Yeah.
Like for like neck pain, headaches, and then just
for sure.
Just really spasmed up or have more of an acute type of, I'll use that.
Yeah, and then the heel one, I really switch people over to use the heel after an injury, isn't painful anymore, because you have so many receptors on your skin, and especially people like you that got like AC stuff. It works great even to put on topically for healing over like long term as well.
Yeah,
So I usually switch people over to that.
issues with that AC joint because when they repair it, they don't like they like drill through your clavicle and then they go down into your scapula, and it's not the same. They don't attach back to the AC joint, so it still moves more.
Interesting.
Which I don't like so much, but it was not really my choice, I guess.
Right. He didn't ask you.
Yeah, and I didn't know that many different ways to repair the AC joint.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When it's like out of your skin.
Yeah, scary. I don't
Yeah,
like that.
it's no fun. I think it would be as painful as it was, but it was.
Yeah, you're lucky you can adjust and everything again.
I was adjusting with one arm for like 3 months. And
That's crazy.
Piece and like a mechanical adjuster, and just I could think of. I just had to get creative.
I'll bet.
Yeah, and then I could turn my wrist pretty fast, but like my pec wouldn't fire.
So, oh my God.
And then I would wear like a clavicle brace underneath my shirt or whatever I was wearing, because the people saw me in a sling, then they didn't want to come in.
For sure. Yeah, nobody wants a hurt chiropractor. That's the worst.
No, I still pay my bills.
I got to keep going.
It only took a week and a half off after that.
That's crazy. But I get it. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, definitely. But it's big healing, and I'm actually boxing again, and
great.
And it's getting stronger. My arm shrank quite a bit, but it's coming around after.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
So I think we covered just about everything.
Cool.
Including the crazy, how Corona's crazy out there. We could probably add that in.
We could definitely do a whole podcast about that. I'm sure are you keeping contact with doctors from different places and stuff too?
Well, when I do the podcast, I ask them a little bit about it. And I don't know, a lot of doctors, like a lot of chiropractors or regular doctors are just kind of over it, like, because they kind of know.
Yeah.
Seems like the local ones are like, they have to follow, I don't know really what they know or not, because they follow state guidelines and nobody wants to say too much or anything.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot you can do.
I mean, do all the shit, wash your hands, don't go anywhere if you're sick, don't cough or sneeze on anyone, but we can't sit inside until all the germs on the earth die.
Yeah, exactly.
We should be talking about how to make the human more healthy, not.
I say, like, get sleep, get movement.
Get vitamin D, go outside, get fresh air, exercise your body.
Yep. I have like different supplements that can help like boost your immune system.
Well, and CBD is a good one for that too, right? CBD is all over your immune system. Yeah. There's receptors all over.
Yeah, totally. You want to decrease your inflammation, because that's
for sure. That's huge.
Virus. It just it's a new virus, so it just picks out your weakest link, basically.
For sure. Yeah.
If you're older or have some sort of, if you're immunocompromised in some way. And I just think the media at the beginning just blew it out of proportion.
For sure.
Because now, like, if you look at the numbers, like, more people get it, but they're not dying.
They're not dying. Same thing. Gavin just shut everything down in California, and 2 people died yesterday in Orange County.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sad. That's sad. It's tragic and sad. But those 2 people were probably going to die anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's more people in, like, old. It's like, it's not young people. It's really not middle-aged people, especially, like, in North Dakota here. Like,
no.
People that are kind of, they could catch anything, basically.
And die. Yeah. For sure.
News takes, like, the 1 or 2 cases of somebody that might be healthy, or a kid or something.
Yeah, it's the outliers. They find the outliers in every situation. And it's like, that's so unusual.
Everybody. And I don't understand, like, they're talking about, like, what they're going to do with schools and stuff, and kids aren't even affected by it.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it makes no sense. They're not getting it. They're not dying from it. We know they're not spreading it. But you know what? My 13-year-old is not getting super healthy sitting inside. Now they canceled, you know, all his stuff. He looks like, you know, he looks like a fat little squirrel.
Yeah, like they can't go play with their other friends, like, because moms are scared and
Right. Everybody's terrified. I mean,
close the playgrounds down. It's just, I think they're opening up now here, but like I know like in California and Minnesota,
no way.
totally different.
California is just total lockdown city. And
Yeah, I had a couple of friends texting with, and they sent me a picture with them with their masks on. I'm like, oh, nice masks. I'm just like,
the worst. It's the
like,
worst.
Don't have many people that are doing that anymore, which is nice.
Oh, that's good.
I think that just increases the fear level of everybody.
It does. Well, now everybody's afraid of everybody.
Yeah.
Like if you see a person, and God forbid you see a black person on top of it, now you're just like, holy shit. Like, it's like we're just terrified of each other now all the time.
Yeah, it's just sad.
It is, because they've just used so many things, and now like you're going to say the wrong thing, you're going to do the wrong thing, like, and you know, and everybody's just pretty much just avoiding each other now.
Yep. Yeah, well, people are starting to come around here, but it's not as diverse as like California.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, if we had,
then there's more, like people are more separated. When I went to Minnesota, Minneapolis for the 4th, and that was where all the big Black Lives Matters, all that stuff went down. And I think the first time people had actually came out of their houses, and they were asking me like, how long is this going to last? Like, and I'm like, oh, the coronavirus probably be around for a year or two, like, but you can't really do anything about it. You just,
I mean, do you want to live like this? Like, I'd rather take my chances, like, and go back to my life, and maybe I'll get the flu and it's okay. You know, I mean,
I'd rather have the flu, or I would rather have the coronavirus than the flu. Like, flu's horrible.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's weird in California again, because we're more diverse, and Orange County's not as diverse as LA.
Yeah, LA's lovely.
And LA's a disaster of epic proportions. You just, you know, I'll probably never go to LA again if I don't have to.
Yeah, that's where from LA, and they said it's pretty bad there.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And the political stuff just makes everything more tense and worse, you know? Like, we don't really need that on top of this.
They're trying to get votes, you know, for November, like that. It's just,
that's all this is. Yeah.
Wrong. I just think it's disgusting. But our governor's pretty good. They've been really, like, North Dakota, I think, is one in the top 10 for like reopening and things like that.
Good.
But we have less people.
Sure.
But it's also a red state, and those ones
makes a big difference.
And like we actually only live like 5 miles from Minnesota. You just go over there and everything's closed. Right. So
weird.
It is weird.
But it is weird to see that like political
agendas,
like lines. You're like, what? How did this become an issue? This is science. It's not. It shouldn't have anything to do with politics. Like, medicine and politics really should have never. This should never be happening. So
and like I just denounced any media, like major media channels. I just tell people not to watch, because
me too. Yeah.
People are so programmed because they've been watching since they were young.
Right.
Believe whatever comes on there.
Like, yeah, it's like, this person's an entertainer. They're not even disseminating information.
Yeah, totally.
They're just entertaining you.
And they constantly have the numbers up there in red. And
yeah, you're like, Jesus. Yeah, it's terrible. I think we need to quit testing unless you're symptomatic and think you need to go to the hospital. Then I don't think we need to know. Mm-hmm. And we should just.
That's what they're doing.
This is
more
smart.
Like, people can go and get tested if they want it, but like the doctors aren't going to test you here unless you're
symptomatic. Yeah.
Symptomatic. They ask you different things like that, but
sure.
And there's clusters when we first open up, which is going to be like, it's going to go up for a little bit, and then
Right.
it's going to go down, you know, in the next 3 to 6 months. It might go up
For
and down.
sure.
It'll
It will.
set. But people just don't know that. They don't know
I
how,
know.
like, how
It's terrible.
it works, and how, I'm trying to think of the word,
Yeah, they don't. I mean, well, they don't understand, like, you know, communicable diseases and how it all goes, and this is how it works, and
mhm.
this has happened a million times, and we're not all going to die. And if we are going to all die, there's nothing we can do. Like, sometimes a species gets super fragile and they become extinct.
Totally. Well,
It might be our turn, but I don't, you know, I'm okay with that.
it like, I country, and like, so whenever there's an overpopulation of like animals, there's always a disease
A
that comes
disease wipes them out. Yeah.
on, and that's just how nature balances itself. And
Sorry, humans, it might be our turn.
so, like, some people die, and it is sad, but we're all gonna die anyways.
Well, that's a thing. I mean,
So, like, just try to be as healthy as possible and live your life is what I think.
I agree. I think it's time.
And try to get back to normal, because
That would be nice. Well, don't come to California if you want to be anywhere normal, because it's not going to be normal here for a while.
Parts of the state that I've wanted to, but like, yeah, I've heard it's not a good place to go.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
I think it's gonna. I bet till next summer, things are gonna settle down across the country.
I think it depends what happens in the election, and I do think this will lose steam.
Yeah, there will be some a little bit after that, and then it will calm.
Depending on who wins, there'll either be another major crisis or not, you know.
I have a virtual assistant in India, and they just did another shutdown in India starting today.
They did.
Yeah, but she lives 3 million people.
Right.
So they actually have a legitimate concern, because I imagine they don't have a lot of hospitals and things.
And they have I was just going to say their healthcare system is shit. So, I mean, for sure, you know, you don't want to go to a hospital in India.
Probably not.
Yeah, no.
I can understand that, but like,
yeah.
And like,
our health system here is good though, you know.
Yeah. Like,
do people not remember they sent all those ships home? Like,
yeah, I was just listening to another podcast yesterday. Like, no, not one hospital anywhere is overrun anywhere.
No, it didn't happen.
Yeah. So
it's time to move on.
I think so also.
Yeah.
Well, it was awesome to catch up. And
yeah, it was good to catch up with you too.
And we'll get you the recording out to you. And
okay, and I'll get you all the other stuff too that you needed.
A few weeks.
Okay.
We're like 2 or 3 that we had to get done, and then so yeah.
Yeah, I'll get you like a discount code and all that stuff too. That's easy.
Because we're gonna make a website, and then we'll have like a resources page for everybody's different thing.
Cool.
Affiliate stuff, and we're just
awesome
figuring out how to do all of this.
That's so fun. Good for you for doing all this. This is great.
It's fun because like I get to talk to people that aren't, you know, that I don't get to talk to all the time.
So awesome. I love it.
With friends.
Mm-hmm. It's super fun.
Yeah, totally. I thought it was going to be a lot harder, but it's
because it's just like a conversation. It's so nice.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting in the lobby of my office. So
that's cool.
It's easy. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for offering to have me on and everything. It's going to be fun.
Awesome to have you, and we'll get your product out there. I got patients that love it. Like they go on websites and buy it if I don't have it in time and things like that.
Cool.
Or when
That's great. I love hearing that.
And during the pandemic, so they really do like it.
Awesome. That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
All right. Well.
All right. Will you be in touch? And I'll be in touch with you soon. I'll get you that stuff, and we will chat. Hang in there.
Totally. All right.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye, Dan.
Bye. Bye, Winnie.
Bye.